Hello there and welcome to another Stompy 51 miniature adventure. Alas, this week I got struck down by some mild lurgy, and so I didn't really do any heavy-handed or interesting gaming or hobbying activity, and instead, with the energy that I did have, I did a little bit of light assembly of some 3D printed miniatures to bolster my very long-standing and long-running Empire sort of fantasy army, which I'm now using for a range of different systems. And I thought I would take the opportunity of sharing with you how they compare up to the old GW plastics and indeed old GW metals. Now, the artwork in all of the rule books for the Empire always gave you this beautiful sense of this kind of empire of man built on blood and iron, holding out against chaos around it, the Skaven and chaos within it, and fighting the orc hordes and barbarian hordes, hammering in at the gates, and doing so based on, the discipline of tens of thousands of soldiers, religiously fanaticized as, per the wars of religion period in our own world, but basically based on gunpowder, steel, and magic. But as ever with these things, the quality of the lore could only be based upon the production values of the miniatures of the time. I mean, do these scream blood and iron to you? They're not bad for their time. Perfectly lovely plastic GW sculpts. I remember picking these up, when was it? Must be 2010, so not sure how old they were by then. As they sort of scale with the artillerymen around them, they looked all right. And to be fair, the scale's pretty good. But I think just the detail on them never really got me. They are plastic sculpts of their time. And for interest's sake, actually, these two must be Perry sculpts from the 90s, which I painted up in their Nuln colours. And he's from the plastic kit with a head from the, I can't remember what they were called, not Adventurers, Militia sprue plastics. And he looks alright. And they obviously harkened back to this metal cannon, which must be from the early 90s, and which I kind of spruced up when Age of Sigmar came out, and also using it for Saga Age of Magic. There's something fun about sort of painting wheels, the random colours in your paint collection that never really quite get an outing. And I realised the way to go was kind of bronze-looking barrels rather than silver ones. Not least because I think it's a bit more historically accurate, but also because it just adds a bit of fun and colour. And this is how they kind of squared up, so, look at that. Basically, is it just me? No, almost the same size. Cannon's pretty much exactly the same size. Was there once a little knob at the end of this that's been lost? Let's have a look. No, it was always a little line at the back. No little knobbly bit at the end. I suppose Cannon became more user-friendly as the Empire moved on. But on that subject, it occurred to me of the game only being as good, the lore only being as rich as the reality of the miniatures which sit behind it. I thought, we do live in an age of 3D printing where you can get an STL on My Mini Factory and then just knock out about 20 of these things. And I thought, well, in circumstances where you can have 3 mortars and 3 cannon in Kings of War for the Empire of Men, well, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? I mean, look at these. So these are the mortars, which you can get 3D printed. And having been watching a few YouTube videos about, English Civil War kind of cannon and heavy artillery, I realised, these things didn't just they never sort of just left them in the mud and sort of fired upwards. They obviously put them on wooden supports And I suppose what they actually did was remove these wheels and put the bombard flat down on the ground. But I thought, you know, probably more fun to show that they are mobile. Not least given that in some of the rules, like in Dragon Rampant, there are currently no rules for kind of cannon. And so you have to kind of give them the rules for, you know, the very conceptual sense that the game works. You have to give cannon and mortars the rules for the equivalent hitting power of a unit, say, of crossbowmen or musketmen, and so they can actually walk, albeit slowly. But, you know, maybe when they redo Dragon Rampant, you know, this particularly fantastic but very high-level conceptual miniature agnostic game, maybe they'll make provision for proper cannon. And so how does the bombard measure up? So the wheel's pretty much exactly the same, but, you know, it's just a bigger gun. So the only question for me, I suppose, is whether I do something creative with the wooden parts, you know, just paint them blue or something. Make it easy just to spray paint it's all red or blue or yellow or whatever. And then paint, you know, the guns, and, you know, the guns obviously bronze, and then the metallic bits metal. Or whether I just, you know, keep it simple and spray paint them brown. I'll have to have a think. What would I do? I suppose I'd paint this blue, and then maybe do like blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, just to kind of make it look particularly psychedelic. I suppose also it would help kind of differentiate between them if I painted them different colours. And then if we turn to the cannon, some no experts in the different kinds of cannon. Are these culverins? Let's try hold that steadier for you. This is how they compare against the metal. So if you never got in on the Oldhammer metallic, you know, this is a perfectly reasonable substitute. And this is how it compares against the old plastic version. This bit's from, I can't even remember where, possibly from possibly from this kit actually, but I can't remember. And there you've got your infantry scaling up. Bit of the old and the new there. Perry, old GW plastic, and 3D printed resin. I think these are going to go on eBay then, because, you know, I don't really need them. So they will go to one side. And then what will this look like at the back of my firing line? I think I'll rip this off. Maybe I'll do that on video. I'll show you able to use that for something else. Perfect fit. Am I a bad person? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? No, I'm sure. It depends on the scenario. You know, obviously, if it's you stand there, I stand on the other side, and we all have a bit of a battle to the death, then I imagine I'm in a good position. If it's, you know, you roll the scenario for go capture that over there, or first to get then the most number of units off the enemy side of the table, you know, how am I going to roll these over? And so I've got a few infantry, what are they called, sorry, artillerymen, but I do need a few more, and I'm not sure where to get them, because the 3D printed ones that came with this, I mean, I could scale them down, but they're a bit big, but also they're not that detailed or charismatic compared to, you know, an old Perry, which I guess is what you'd expect. I mean, these guys I thought I would keep because, you know, you do get the occasional very tall fellow, not like me. Oops. These ones seemed a bit more charismatic, but again, they are huge. And this, I'm not even sure where it's from. Possibly All Games Foundry, Tag Miniatures. I got it in a swap. But I think we'll leave it there. I think I already said that you can get these fantastic cannon and mortars from Highlands Miniatures on my mini factory. And as you can see from over there, they're only about a year old, so they're not that old in the tooth. This has truly been a video of the very old, the old, and the new. And I'll leave it to you to work out whether I've really done this video to put the fear of the Lord into my usual wargaming opponents who do occasionally watch these videos, for them to think that I might actually take all of this, or whether, I actually take none of this and turn up with a knight cavalry army just to kind of throw them off the scent. Either way, I hope you've had fun. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. Drop me, I love hearing people's thoughts, whatever those thoughts are. If you have interesting suggestions as to where to get any more artillerymen, let me know. If you have any thoughts on Kings of War, and whether it's actually any good to take all of this, I'd also be interested. So keep well, keep safe, and see you around soon.